Hi everyone, I'm just pinning the comment right now and waiting for Joy. There we go. And we're just waiting. Hi Joy!
Hi!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. That was so fast. Usually it takes a lot longer to get set up and have our speakers join, but that was super fast. So
Yeah, it was
I'm glad
fast
we're
today.
so connected. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, today is a great day. It got a little bit mixed up because normally my husband and I, we do like shift work, and normally he does. I'm in the office on Wednesday afternoon, but we had to change things around, so I'm with my daughter. So I apologize if she comes in.
Oh no,
Now we're
absolutely.
live.
We'd love to see her. That's amazing. Her name's Vienna.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So, welcome everybody to the Run the World Mentorship live sessions. Every day we come on with a different industry expert to talk about certain topics that are super important and relevant. And today I'm so excited to have you on with us, Joy. And we're going to be talking about daily habits to cultivate mental health. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy, so I really do appreciate you hopping on and sharing some tips with our community during this live session. So thank you so much for doing that.
My pleasure. Well, I'm always happy to share and help people feel better. And so any opportunity I get to do that, I'm always happy to.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing. So maybe before we jump in, do you want to maybe do like a quick sort of introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a holistic nutritionist. I started my business, which is Joyous Health, about 11 years ago. And I'm also a 3-time best-selling author. I have 3 different cookbooks.
Amazing.
And really my focus has just been really delicious food with simple, wholesome ingredients that you can find anywhere. Of course, I focus a lot on like gluten-free and refined sugar-free and dairy-free. But for the most part, all of my books are dairy-free, but I do eat feta cheese. So sometimes you'll see those kinds of things in my recipes, but I'm just all about using food as a tool to make you feel great, to boost your energy. And then also beyond that, so much of what I write about and speak about is also having a healthy lifestyle, which I think some of which we're going to talk about today. So all of the different habits to cultivate, because it's not just about what you eat. Diet is only one part of being healthy and having a fulfilling life. Lifestyle is a huge factor in that.
Amazing. That's awesome. Pleasure to virtually meet you finally.
You too.
Very briefly, my name is Zaina Musa, and I'm the founder of Run the World Summit. We are a Canadian event series that highlight the importance of supporting local female identifying entrepreneurs and designers in Canada. And unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we're not able to host any of our amazing events and experiences. So we have decided to start these mentorship live sessions because they provide a lot of value and kind of bring the community together. And I'm so excited to dive into our topic today of your daily habits. And however you want to structure this, I have a couple of questions if you'd like me to start. If you'd like to start first, whatever you'd like.
You go for it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead with my questions. And if anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section or in the question box, and Joy would be happy to answer. And I'll keep a tab on all of them if they come in the comments. So the first question is, have you always been into healthy living, and what inspired you to start writing a book? This is kind of like a 3-part question, and then starting your business after that. So have you always been into like the whole healthy lifestyle and the healthy living?
Yeah, so I feel like I've been a student of nutrition my whole entire life, but there's definitely been parts of my life where, I've been a total sugar addict. Even though I was still like eating my healthy salads and making soups on the weekend. There was a time period where I was a sugar addict. There was a time where I was, having my Starbucks lattes and putting my artificial sweeteners in. And I also had hormonal imbalance. when I was in my late teens and early 20s. So I would say that was definitely a time that I was not healthy, but I thought in my mind I was.
Right.
And it
And
wasn't
a lot of
until,
people are like that, by the way.
yeah, you think you're healthy, right? You're like, oh, well, you know, I eat enough fiber. I go to the gym a few times per week. But in reality, what I found for myself was I was dealing with hormonal imbalance. I had about half the hair, half the amount of hair on my head as I do now. I had anxiety and digestive issues. And it wasn't until I really looked into my lifestyle and what I was eating that I realized that I was actually causing my own problems. I was the one obstacle in my way of, you know, feeling my best. So that's what inspired me to go back to school, because I was able to heal my body after many years of being unwell. I was able to heal my body, and that inspired me to go back to school, because I was like, I need to help more people. There must be more people dealing with this like me,
Right.
who, you know, weren't able to get help from Western medicine. So that's why I decided originally to become a nutritionist.
Okay.
And then to answer your question about writing a book, my first book, Joyous Health, is a lot about my journey, you know, my own personal health journey. And I talk a lot about the importance of having a healthy lifestyle. So my first cookbook was like half a healthy living guide and then half a cookbook. And that happened because I had been blogging and sharing on social media and creating tons of content on my blog, joyoushealth.com. And so the book was sort of the next natural evolution of the Joyous Health brand.
Awesome. Okay. And then was it after writing your book or during, is when you started your own line of supplements and organic tea? Was that before or after or during?
Yes, that was after. So my first cookbook came out in 2012? It's like hard to keep track of all these. Yeah, I think it was 2012. And then after my first, so my organic body care came out in 2013. And then a couple years later, I brought out my organic herbal teas. And then last year, we also launched our hair care line as well. So we have a line of hair care.
Wow.
Yeah, so, you know, each year we'll continue to build. Like before COVID-19, we're actually going to be developing a lip butter and a shampoo and body bar. But obviously with, you know, COVID-19 kind of slowing everything down, we've put that on the back burner a bit in terms of new product development.
Right.
But then we have like all our online programs too. Like we have every year we have a really big business program called the Joyous Health Business Program, which is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's an online business program for wellness entrepreneurs. It's a 12-week online program. We're still running that this year, but that doesn't come out till fall. So fingers crossed that COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, I mean, a lot of business owners right now are struggling with the whole COVID-19 situation. And one of the things that, you know, I've always wanted to do, and what we kind of do with Run the World offline is we highlight all of these female identifying business owners. But now because of COVID, we kind of shifted to Run the World Summit online marketplace, where we want to create this platform for local female identifying businesses in Canada to showcase their, you know, their work. And, you know, we just actually recently launched a couple of days ago, and we're just trying to fix things up, but it's doing whatever you can at this time to help yourself and help your business kind of pivot and change, and also help others. I think it's also really important to keep in mind what we could do to kind of help other small businesses, and always support local whenever you can. I think that's the best thing for us to do right now. Something that we definitely encourage over at Run the World Summit. And kind of moving into my next question is, how have you been managing, you know, all that you do while being at home, having Vienna, and now your husband, you guys are working together. How do you manage that?
Yeah, so the first couple of weeks were a little bit stressful, just like, you know, for everybody. I know our situation is in no way unique to what other people are going through, but how it was stressful was because we went from running our business full time, you know, 35, 40 hours a week, to running the business 16 to 20 hours a week, but still having to do all the same things. because
Right.
so much of our business is online, like we sell our products online, we have our online programs. It wasn't like we just stopped working. The business is still continuing at the same pace, but
Absolutely.
yet we have half of the amount of time to do everything.
Right.
So in the beginning, we're like, oh, let's bring Vienna, our daughter, to the office. Let's like try and work together. And it just like wasn't working, because you can't be present with your child. You can't be present working, you know, when you have a 4-year-old asking you every 5 minutes, you know, where's this crayon? Where's that?
Yeah,
So
what's
that's
this,
why,
mommy? What's this?
yeah, exactly. So she, you know, she's at that age where she can definitely have independent play, but we can't just leave her for 4 hours to do her own
Right.
thing. So what we're doing now, and what we've been doing this, I think, for probably the past 3 weeks straight, is like certain mornings I'm in the office, certain mornings my husband's in the office, and then we swap.
Okay.
So it's just really helped like my mental health, like having that routine back, even though we're not working together. And a lot of times we have to work at night when our daughter goes to bed. That's what we've been doing to adapt. And it seems to be working. There's definitely not enough hours ever in a day.
Right.
I know a lot of people are like, I see like so many posts like, oh, you must have so much time now, so you can start knitting, and
I
can,
wish.
you know, you can bake and cook everything. And I'm like, oh, well, that's, you know, I'm not in that headspace of too much time.
Right.
I have literally half the amount of time that I had before. That being said, I'm like so grateful, because I know once Vienna goes back to school, I'm going to be so sad and missing her so much.
Yeah.
So I know
pros and cons to all of this.
Yeah,
Like,
there really is.
yeah.
There is. So I'm trying to be great. You know, remind myself to be grateful. I definitely do miss, because my husband and I work in the same office. I miss like collaborating with people. I miss having the joyous team in our office, because obviously everyone's working remotely right now. It's just 4 of us, but I miss working together, because like working remotely is definitely presents its own set of challenges. I mean, it's possible, but it's just nice to have everyone together.
It's so funny that you were talking about baking and knitting, because yesterday I had like a full work day, and I was like working from like the morning until the evening, and I was like, I still really want to do something for myself, and I still really want to do something fun. So it was like 11:30 at night, and I decided I wanted to do like a pineapple upside down cake. So it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I'm like, that's literally me. Like, you're like trying to fit in all of this stuff, but it's just, you find yourself up until 2-3 in the morning, and then waking up at like 7 or 8 o'clock that morning. So
yeah,
it's definitely not easy. And I think it's been a very difficult transition for a lot of people. And I want to ask you what advice you have for, you know, other women that are struggling to balance working from home, based on your experience.
Well, there's a couple different things. I would say first and foremost, you have to make sure you do something for yourself that's self-care every day. Like, I'm guessing the pineapple upside down cake, you enjoy baking, and that's like your form of therapy. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think you have to find that one thing that really brings you joy and is like self-care. And self-care isn't always like, a lot of people think of self-care as having a bath or having a massage or those types of things, or giving yourself a manicure. Those things are all great, but you know, it's what brings you joy.
Yeah.
So I'm like you as well. I really enjoy baking. So I would say find that one thing that brings you joy, and make sure that you make time for that every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. Like for me, one thing that is really important for my mental health actually is meditation. And I haven't actually done it today, so I feel a bit like zlangy today. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'll have to do it definitely before the end of the day. But just taking 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes before I go to bed is really, really important for my mental health and well-being. So I suggest that to women watching. Like, if you've never tried meditation before, just go on YouTube and search meditation, and just like start out doing a guided meditation. You know, you don't have to spend money on an app, or you know, even doing a yoga class in your living room that you are doing off YouTube. Like, that even is really a form of meditation. Anytime, you know, you're getting your mind just focused on being in the present moment.
Thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just
like
one
even
thing.
Breathing. Even, I mean,
Yes.
sometimes people have difficulty with like committing to like a 20-minute yoga, or like 30-minute meditation. So even just, you know, taking a couple of, and I actually was talking about this in one of our previous mentorship live sessions, but just taking, even if it's 2 minutes of your day to just breathe consciously, I feel like it makes a really big difference. It sounds so simple, but I really do feel like it makes a big difference in your day.
A huge difference. And some people, you know, that's a lot. When you see people that sigh all the time, that's kind of the body forcing them there. That's someone whose adrenals are feeling really burnt out. So your body just kind of forces you to sigh. If you find that you're doing that a lot, you really need, like you're saying, even just taking 10 deep diaphragmatic breaths brings you from sympathetic nervous system, switches you into parasympathetic nervous system mode, which is rest and digest. And that's where, you know, we can feel more calm. So I love that suggestion, you know, whether it's 2 minutes or 10 deep breaths, so beneficial for your mental health.
Absolutely. And are you still seeing me and hearing me okay, Joy?
Yeah, I am. Can you see me? Can you see me?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you know
yeah,
what?
I can. It was just freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, you're a little bit like,
yeah, so are you.
Yeah. It's probably because so many people are trying to do this at the same time.
Yes. Okay. So I think we're okay now. And I guess I want to move into, I mean, you touched upon maybe one really great point, which is meditation. But what would be your tips and daily habits to cultivate mental health, the topic of this conversation? If you have, or if you can maybe list maybe 4 or 5 or something that you really stand by that you think would really help other women, what would they be?
Yeah, so definitely good nutrition. So focusing, you know, first thing in the morning, drinking a big glass of water, adding some lemon to it, and getting a good breakfast in. Because eating a good breakfast, getting your protein and good fat is very balancing for your blood sugar. And that is really going to help how you feel and your emotions. Because when you eat something that spikes your blood sugar will drop quickly, and that can make you feel moody and irritated and tired. So I think having like a really great breakfast really sets the stage for the day. And then also like drinking water throughout the day, because even just a 1% drop in your hydration levels can lead to headaches and make you feel sleepy. So that's why I always have like my mason jar. I have it for our chat today.
I love mason jars. They're so cute. They make it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and you get like a good amount of water in there. Another thing I do every day, because obviously here in Toronto, we are not on a lockdown, so I go outside every day. It is absolutely, I live in a condo, so I don't have a backyard.
Oh, okay.
And my balcony, necessity. Yeah, my balcony faces a busy street. So for me, getting outside and getting my face in the sunshine or the fresh air if it's cloudy is so essential to well-being. Fresh air, we know that fresh air is really important for mental health and well-being. And then like movement, like we know gyms are closed, but that's okay. You know, dance around your kitchen. There's so many people doing free Instagram lives with like workouts. I've been totally taking advantage of that. I really like that because I've actually always, since my daughter was born, I've been an at-home workout person. I like ended my gym membership. I'm like, I just don't, being an entrepreneur and being a parent, I don't have time to then like go to the gym, drive there, all that stuff. I'd love to do that, but I just haven't made the time for that. So now we're all stuck at home. What a great opportunity to get movement in your day. So even just 10 minutes dancing around your kitchen, like, and playing, I'll add another point for mental health is really pay attention to what you're listening to. Like, how often are you listening to the news? That can like completely zap
what
your
information you're taking in.
Yes, so true. And the same goes for like, what music do you listen to? Like, if you're listening to all sappy music that's like not very uplifting, think about all those words you're hearing that are entering your subconscious when you have music on. I think music is a really powerful tool for our mental health, and can really take us out of a funk. So, or put us in a funk.
Or put us in a funk, yeah.
Yeah. So I always have, you know, I love music. In fact, it's really funny when we don't have music on at home, my daughter would be like, why is it so quiet in here? We need some music. You know, I enjoy quiet as well when I'm doing certain things, but if I'm making dinner, if I'm cleaning, or if I'm in the office working, I do like to have music on.
Love it. And I feel like you touched upon this a little bit. in terms of nutrition, but what kind of changes can we make in our diet to improve our mental health? I know you mentioned, water, making sure you're on top of, your water game.
Yeah.
But is there anything more specific in terms of like certain foods or certain
Yeah.
changes that we can make?
Yeah, so I say there's sort of two areas I look at. One is look at how the types of food you're eating. So there's something called your microbiome. And your microbiome, you have trillions of microbes that live in your body. Trillions of them live within your gut and keep you healthy and support your mental health, because every class of neurotransmitter that's in your brain, serotonin, dopamine, that are very important for mental health, are also made in your gut. And your gut microbes are very, very important to help make those. So it's really important to eat foods that nourish your microbiome. Things like fermented foods. So yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, soured breads, if you are able to eat gluten breads. Sourdough breads, the gluten, if it's a glutinous flour, the gluten is much easier to digest. It's a totally different bread than, say, like a modern bread. Eating lots of colorful vegetables and fruits, because foods that have a wide array of colors, when you have a diet with a wide array of colors, that means you're consuming lots of phytonutrients. And phytonutrients are what give plant foods their taste, their texture, and their color. And phytonutrients, some of them are very high in polyphenols, like green tea, for example, grapes, and phytonutrients, actually polyphenols, nourish your microbes, and your microbes nourish your gut ecology. And when you have a healthy microbiome, this supports mental health. So when I used to be in practice, when I would see clients one-on-one, if I was seeing a client for depression or anxiety,
That was actually what I was going to ask you about next.
Yes, I would always talk to them about their digestive system before I start recommending any B vitamins or magnesium, any supplements for brain health. I would always start with the digestive system, because health and illness begins in the gut. Our gut is our second brain. So that's the first thing I'd say. What foods are you eating to nourish your microbiome? I know that's a lot of information I gave. The main thing you want to remember is you eat lots of plant foods and you eat lots of colorful plant foods. So if you've been eating the same leafy greens for the last 10 years, it's time to switch it up.
Change it up.
Yeah. What we do is, like, 1 week we buy spinach, the next week we buy kale, then we buy romaine, we'll buy, Russian kale. Like, we're always changing it up. So we have lots of different types of leafy greens. And then also making sure, like, when I open my veggie crisper or my fruit crisper, there's a variety of color in there. And the second thing is to make sure you eat enough protein, because protein, when broken down the gut, is broken down into amino acids, which are the building blocks of every single cell in your body. And you need amino acids to piece together proteins that help make neurotransmitters. So not only do you need the microbes involved, but you also need to eat protein, because protein is really important for brain health and for your gut to help make those hormones like serotonin and dopamine. So whether you're plant-based or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just as long as you are eating a source of protein, I would recommend with every single meal and snack, you have protein. So like today, I made waffles. I made buckwheat waffles on the weekend. And so this morning, I just popped one in a toaster. I slathered it with almond butter, a bit of honey. I sprinkled some hemp hearts, which are a rich source of protein. And that was my breakfast. So I got protein, fat, and good complex carbs.
That's awesome. And yeah, so you did bring up anxiety and stress, and that was kind of one of my last questions that I had for you. And again, if anybody has any specific questions, I know we had a couple up at the top, but just feel free to leave them in the comment section below and we'll get to them. But to kind of wrap up for my set here, with those tips and with those advice that you've just shared, does that link to anxiety and stress, or is there anything else that you could also recommend, maybe supplement wise or anything else in general, when it comes to people that are, feeling a little bit more overwhelmed and just with everything going on right now, stressed out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Well, I would say a big thing is to also assess your diet. Like, what are you eating that could be a stimulant? Like, for example, I am someone who is more prone to anxiety. So I avoid caffeine. If I eat, if I drank a coffee, I would probably not sleep for the next 2 days. I would just be like monkey brain central. Now, not everyone is like that. Some people just detoxify caffeine effectively and it doesn't affect them. But identify what are your stimulants that can promote anxiety. So for everyone, refined sugar for sure. So cutting out refined sugar. And when it comes to sugar, there's no healthy relationship with refined sugar. Unfortunately, if you feel addicted to it, you have to cut it out cold turkey. Doing natural sweeteners is fine, but refined sugar is probably one of the worst foods for your health, particularly for anxiety. Another thing for anxiety are food additives. There can be food additives like dyes and different artificial ingredients that trigger anxiety. And then beyond that, there can be foods that seem healthy, but are a trigger for you if it's a food sensitivity. For example, I am very sensitive to soy. If I have, say, a protein bar that has soy in it and I don't know, I'm just like grinding my teeth. It is very stimulating for me. So I do my best to always avoid soy products unless it's fermented. Then like a tempeh, for example, or miso, it doesn't have the same effect on me. So, it's not just about like all the good stuff to add. You also want to assess like what are the potential triggers of my anxiety.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads to what I wanted to say now was it's really important to know your body and to understand what works for you and what doesn't. And I think the only way to do that is by trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much of it is just trial and error. Something I've always said as a nutritionist is that everyone is their own best nutritionist. You know your body way better than I do. So you know what makes you thrive and what makes you don't. And if you feel confused about that, just do a food journal for 1 week and write down what you eat every day. And then write down beside it how you feel. And then after 7 days, go back and look at it. And it'll give you a good sense, because not everyone knows how to be aware of how food makes them feel. A lot of times we just are eating or we're like not even aware, or we're eating for boredom, for example. So, really identifying certain foods can be helpful. Of course, you can do a food sensitivity test, but I think just a much cheaper way of doing that is just a process of elimination, figuring out what foods could be potential triggers for you and then removing them.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into the questions that were asked in the comment section. So the first question was asked a little early on during our talk, and it's, do you think that post-menopausal women need more or less protein?
I would say definitely more. I think protein is so important for hormones, so important for blood sugar control. Well, hang on. Let me just put a little asterisk of that, because when I say more, I don't necessarily, it depends like throughout your life stages. Like say if you're pregnant, for example, yes, you need to be having more protein. Your blood sugar can be fluctuating quite a lot when you're in a post-menopausal phase, and protein really helps to balance the blood sugar. So what I'd say in that case is just make sure every meal and snack that you're having some source of protein, either a plant-based protein or an animal-based protein, doesn't really matter. And that's because protein just takes longer to digest. It doesn't mean you're taking you need to be adding like a protein powder every time you eat. And I also caution from suggesting how many grams of protein a postmenopausal woman should have, because I don't count grams of protein. I don't count grams of fat. And I really think that takes the fun away from food. And also not every person is the same. So I think you really need to just assess your own body and see how you feel, but know that protein is really, really important. I think particularly for women, it's something that we are often missing out on getting enough of.
Okay, awesome. And the next question is, do you use all buckwheat flour for your waffles?
Oh, it depends what's in my cupboard. I have, I'm thinking of the one I made on the weekend. No, the one I made on the weekend, I had a bit of buckwheat and I had a bit of coconut flour because I didn't have enough buckwheat flour. But I have a recipe in my newest cookbook, the Joy's cookbook, and it's all buckwheat flour. So, I mean, because I'm very comfortable in the kitchen, I can just look and just mix stuff, flours till I get the right texture and know. But I would suggest for someone who's not as comfortable with that it's important to follow a recipe. And I've got lots of recipes for waffles.
Amazing. Do you recommend going gluten-free for anxiety, even if you aren't celiac?
Yes, I do. I definitely recommend When it comes to gluten, gluten is one of the most common food sensitivities. And I can tell you in my 11 years of being a nutritionist, I've never once had someone say to me, I went off gluten and I feel worse. Never. So if it's something you've never tried and you want to tweak your health and see if perhaps you might have more energy and just feel better overall, I would definitely recommend that. So just do it for a week or 2 weeks and then assess how you feel. Like I eat very, very little gluten because when I do eat gluten, it makes my joints achy and I just don't feel as good. I don't have celiac disease, but I know how gluten makes me feel. So I'm just careful with it.
Yeah. Again, assessing your body and seeing what works for you. It doesn't hurt.
Exactly.
Okay. Is it important to take probiotics, or would kimchi or other fermented foods help with gut health?
Yeah, so fermented foods definitely help with gut health because you're literally consuming live bacteria. But what you have to remember is that fermented foods are not therapeutic doses of bacteria. So it really depends on you. You know, I take a probiotic. I give my daughter a probiotic. My husband kind of takes it when I'm like, here, take your probiotic. But I think, you know, it's best to like talk to a natural healthcare practitioner, you know, to that person there, like maybe talk to your naturopath or your nutritionist and find out like what would be best for you. But no, just using fermented foods is not the same as taking a probiotic. They both have benefits, but you're not going to get the amount of bacteria in a food that you would get in a probiotic.
Okay. And I think our last question that we have here is, I've been told to buy therapeutic class probiotic. We all have allergies to nuts and soy. What brands would you recommend?
I really like Genuine Health's probiotic because it's a multi-strain. That means it has more than one strain of probiotics. And here's the thing, we have like hundreds of strains of probiotics living in our gut. So it doesn't make sense to just take only one strain. So look for a multi-strain, and that's why I really like the Genuine Health one. And it's a vegan probiotic. There's no allergens in it whatsoever. So it's very safe to take.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And I think that's all the questions that we have for today. Again, I really want to thank you, Joy, so much for taking the opportunity to chat with me. And it's so nice to virtually meet you. And I hope that you can stay safe and enjoy whatever time we can right now during this time.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with it, we're going to save the live and for anybody that wants to rewatch. And then after because I know it's only for 24 hours. So what we're thinking about doing is actually uploading these live segments onto our website. So anybody can revisit them. Yeah. So anybody can kind of revisit them at any point in time.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So if that's okay with you, then we can go ahead and do that.
Great. Yeah.
And again, I want to thank you so much, Joy. It's been so nice talking to you.
Thank you. It's been really nice talking to you too.
Okay, enjoy the sunshine and take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. We will have this video live on the Run the World Summit page for 24 hours, and then we will shift it onto our website at runtheworldsummit.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next mentorship live session.